English department, comparative literature, and graduate groups, the group for the history of ideas, the group for the Freudian field, and the comparative literature graduate association. All the support is, of course, warmly appreciated. In this case, I must say, it was offered not only generously, but enthusiastically, a tribute, clearly, to our distinguished guest, whom everyone was very happy to welcome to our campus. Gabriel Garcia. Those are just the thank yous. Now comes the trouncing on Slavoj. Gabriel Garcia Marquez reported that the first time he read Kafka, he fell off the couch. What caused his fall was the sentiment of surprise, which he expressed thus: "I didn't know one was allowed to write like that." Our speaker today, Slavoj Zizek, swears on many Bibles: on the Bible of Lacan, the Bible of Hegel, of Marx, and the brothers Marx, Chico, Harpo, Groucho, among many others. But none of the Bibles on which he places his hand and swears fidelity gives Zizek permission to write and speak as he does. If so many of us have shown up to listen to his lecture, and if so many come out to hear him whenever he lectures, it is in anticipation of being surprised anew by the permission he gives himself to interrupt, for example, his own learned explication of the second draft of Schelling's Ages of the World, with commentary on novels and films that are beneath trash, or to reference the Hitchcockian blot, which appears first as a crop dusting plane in North by Northwest, in his to-the-moment discussion of the terrorist attacks on the Twin Towers, or to insert a disquisition on the correlation between national character and the structure of toilets into a serious work of political philosophy. In one of Zizek's Bibles, the Brothers Marx, chapter Duck Soup, verse yet another scene in which Margaret Dumont is treated to ridicule, Groucho dismisses her offhandedly. "You can leave in a taxi. If you can't find a taxi, you can leave in a huff. If that's too soon, you can leave in a minute in a huff." You can't talk to people like that. It's grammatically prohibited. This because the structurally parallel terms, taxi, huff, minute in a huff, are semantically incongruent and therefore do not relate to the verb to leave in the same way. This grammatical violation has nevertheless an official term, zeugma. We could say that Zizek, like Groucho, is a master of zeugma, of the promiscuous and illicit way in which it gathers disparate terms and pairs incongruent illustrations with philosophical argument. We all know this about Zizek and come out in droves to witness him practice his zeugmatic mastery. We give him latitude, grant him permission beforehand to break the rules of polite discourse. My one word of advice is don't. Don't indulge him. Don't grant him any latitude. He doesn't need this license. In fact, he's drowning in it. For our permission is the pair of prosthetic ears we put on so as not to hear what he is telling us. It protects us from seeing the impossible out of which what he is saying emerges, the impasses he has to forge. Zizek's most loyal audience is made up of those whose resistances had to be overcome, the many converts who, in the beginning, did not give him an inch. These are the ones who have truly fallen off their couches. In the age of Google, in which everybody knows who everyone is, especially a Wikipedia-level everybody, the merely phatic role of the introducer has become more obvious than before. For the moment, I will simply remind you of a few facts. Slavoj Zizek is the international director of the Birkbeck Institute for the Humanities at Birkbeck College in London, a professor at the European Graduate School in Switzerland, senior researcher at the Institute of Sociology at the University of Ljubljana, and president of the Society for Theoretical Psychoanalysis, also in Ljubljana. In 1990, he ran in the first free elections in Slovenia for the presidency and narrowly, unfortunately, missed being elected, after which he spent a year, and this part is left out of the Google narrative, as as a Fulbright Fellow at the University at Buffalo. He is the subject of the documentary film Zizek, the scene stealer in The Examined Life, and the maître en scène, not the director, the master of the scene, but the master placed in the scene of The Pervert's Guide to Cinema. Numerous perverse guides and flattering or contrarian introductions to his work are published every year, and his own book publications proliferate at the speed of underbrush in a Patricia Highsmith novel. The most important and enduringly useful of these are, to my mind, The Sublime Object of Ideology, Tearing with the Negative, The Ticklish Subject, and The Parallax View. Zizek is the only living person I know to have a journal named after him, the International Journal of Zizek Studies, a title that still perplexes me. That's it.